Mannatha Shri Jagannatho Madguru Shri Jagadguru Madatma Sarvabhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Aho Chitramaho Chitram Bande Tat Prema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Namah Kamalnabhaya Namah Kamaline Namah Kamalpadaya Namaste Kamale Kshana. Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vaivedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagmangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Radhe Radhe, everyone. We're continuing our Ram Navmi intensive here at Radha Madhav Dham, and you've been listening to the philosophy of Shri Ram's avatar here on earth. You heard from both me and from Banchari Didi last night about who is Shri Ram. He is Supreme God. He is none other than Parabrahm descended here on earth. You learned that he is always omnipresent, not only in his formless aspect, but even in his personal form. He's everywhere all the time. Thus, he doesn't have to come from anywhere. He doesn't leave his divine abode to come over here. When he's here, he's still in his divine abode. When he's visible here on our earth planet, he's still omnipresent in his personal form in every particle of the universe. And he still resides in the heart of every living being. Because of this, and because of one more thing, obviously his body is not like ours. If his body is omnipresent, it means his body is also divine. And that means his body is eternal. And that also means he doesn't have to get his body formed in his mother's womb like we do. This has all been explained to you, that Shri Ram's body was not made in Mother Kaushalya's womb, but rather a material type of pregnancy was simulated by Shri Ram for his mother's experience, but he was never within her womb in the form of a growing baby. And after 9 months, he appeared on this earth. Just appeared, that's it. He's already here. What else does he have to do? Before he appeared, he was still visible to all the divine saints with divine eyes, but he wasn't visible to us. And then once he appeared, he was still visible everywhere else to all the divine saints, but they could also see that, oh, and he's appearing in this place for the ordinary souls. In other words, an ordinary soul could see him in that place. And having appeared in that way and having brought with him millions of divine saints from his abode, he reveals all of his leelas here on earth and then disappears. We say he returns to his divine abode, but really he just disappears in the same way that he appeared. Thus, you've understood that Shri Ram's body is divine and eternal. His form, his name is all divine and eternal. And he appears here on earth. But that doesn't mean that he's an ordinary person, even though he performs leelas that sometimes make him seem like an ordinary person. In fact, it was also explained to you that even though we, the ordinary people, can see him during that time, we still do not recognize him or perceive his divinity. Which is why even if he takes avatar, it doesn't instantly result in God realization for anyone who meets him or sees him. But we benefit in a different way, because to become qualified to see him, we have to become a divine saint. So we have to do devotion, purify our heart, and become perfectly surrendered to him. But to do that, we have to do sadhana. And to do sadhana, our worldly mind needs some attractive material. So Shri Ram leaves behind his beautiful form, leelas, attributes, names. He provides us with all the attractive material we need to entice our mind to think of him instead of the world, and thus get more and more attached to him and get more and more purified through that attachment. There were still a couple of questions left out. One is regarding Ram's identity as Supreme God. When we are told that Shri Krishna is Supreme God, and here, as a part of Shri Maharaj's sanstha, we worship Radha Krishna, we sing Radha Krishna bhajans, we do Roop Dhyan on Radha Krishna, we worship Krishna with Madhurya Bhav. Then how is Ram also Supreme God? So, if we look to the scriptures, and especially the descriptions in the Ramayana, we start to get some insight into who Ram is, or what is this relationship between Ram and Krishna. There's a statement in the Adhyatma Ramayana by Brahma. He's praising Shri Ram, but listen to how he refers to him. Mayatitam Madhav Madhyam Jagadadim. He says, I surrender to that Shri Ram, who is the original source of the universe, who is beyond Maya, and who is known as Madhav. So Madhav is obviously Shri Krishna's name, but here Brahma is referring to Ram as Madhav. Further ahead, he says, Vande Ramam Marakat Varnam Mathuresham. He says, I worship that Shri Ram, who is sapphire complexioned, and who is the Lord of Mathura, the ruler of Mathura. Shri Ram never even went to Mathura, and here he's calling him Mathuresh. Brahma is saying, Valmiki ji has written, or Vedavyas ji has written in the Adhyatma Ramayana. Further ahead, he says, Vrindaranye Vandit Vrindarak Vrindam. Ram is so great, he is worshipped by all the Devtas in Swarg, and he is the one who plays in Vrindavan. Even in his Banvas, he never went to Vrindavan, but here he's being referred to basically as Vrindavan Bihari. So we know these are all names of Shri Krishna. Vrindavan Bihari, Mathuresh, Madhav. Why is Brahma just interchanging them? Because they are interchangeable. Ram and Krishna are not two, they are one. We know that there is one God, and that God has many forms. But God is only one. We can understand it in a simplified manner like this. Shri Krishna has uncountable powers, but out of all of those powers, his internal power, supreme internal power, Swarup Shakti, that's main. So as a part of this Swarup Shakti, Shri Krishna also has a lovingness we would call Madhurya, and he also has an almightiness we would call Aishwarya. These are the two main facets of his personality. We're just simplifying for this explanation. So Shri Krishna is both very sweet and loving, and he is Almighty God. Aishwarya, the almightiness, and sweet and loving, Madhurya. Shri Krishna manifests different mixtures of that Madhurya and Aishwarya. If he is manifesting only Aishwarya and subsides or conceals the Madhurya totally, then he behaves in a very formal and serious manner, and in that case, his form is Vishnu. So Vishnu and Krishna are not different. Krishna himself is Vishnu when he's only revealing Aishwarya and no Madhurya. The same Shri Krishna is Krishna in his form with the peacock feather and the flute when he's revealing only Madhurya. And the Aishwarya is there, but it is completely submerged in his Madhurya. He's still Almighty God, but he actually isn't even conscious of that fact himself, because he's only focused on the love of his devotees, the love of his divine associates. Their love for him makes him forget that he is God, and his love for them makes them forget that he is God. So they both forget their status as supreme God and an insignificant soul, and because of that, those sweet leelas happen. Otherwise, if God is sitting in his divine godly status, dignity, and souls are afraid and respecting him from a distance, then no sweet leela would ever happen. So, Shri Krishna, as Shri Krishna, reveals that ultimate sweetness, where he completely not just ceases to act as God, but he completely forgets that he is God, although he is still God. And on the other end of the spectrum, Mahavishnu is Shri Krishna when he's just revealing his godly greatness, glory, dignity. And in between, there are variations on that spectrum. So you can have from 100% Aishwarya on one end, 100% Madhurya on the other end, and then you can start mixing. So little bit of Madhurya and less Aishwarya. More Madhurya, even less Aishwarya, like that. So Ram is in that mixed almighty category. He is also almighty, but there's some Madhurya being revealed. Therefore, the almightiness is somewhat subsided. That is Shri Ram. He is none other than Krishna, behaving slightly more formally than Radha Krishna do. The same Radha is Sita, and the same Krishna is Ram, but they're slightly more formal. See, we have all the same relations with them. Dasya bhav, Sakhya bhav, Vatsalya bhav. Madhurya bhav is not normally associated with Shri Ram, only with Shri Krishna. But Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya. See, in Sakhya bhav, you can love Shri Ram as your best friend. But see how Ram's friends treated him? Whether it was Vibhishan, who loved him with Sakhya bhav, or Sugriv, who loved him with Sakhya bhav, they would sit on the same level when Ram visited or when they visited Ram. When they were talking, they sat on the same level because they were equals as friends. But did Ram's friends ever jump on his back and ride him like a horse, like Krishna's friends did? No. Because that option is not there with Shri Ram. He's in a little more formal mode. So with Shri Krishna, you get the total informality, total freedom. Therefore, Shri Krishna's divine friends, Aho bhagyam nanda gopavrajaukasam yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam Bhagavatam. Shri Krishna's divine friends were his eternal divine friends, no less than Vibhishan and Sugriv. Don't think they're by their behavior that, oh, these are ignorant boys. Look how they're treating Supreme God. No, they earned the right to play with Krishna like that. They surrendered to him and loved him with Sakhya bhav. But they loved Krishna, so they didn't have to observe any kind of formalities. And with Shri Ram, you have to observe some formalities. But it's the same Krishna as Shri Ram. That's the main point. When Tulsidas Ji, who's a devotee of Sita Ram, came to Vrindavan, so he entered a mandir, and in this particular mandir, Shri Krishna are standing very close together with their arm around each other, like that, in an informal pose. So Tulsidas Ji entered and immediately put his eyes down. He said, I have dasya bhav, so I am not supposed to see my master in such an informal pose. And he prayed to Ram in his mind. He said, you've taken such an informal pose here. Please adopt your normal pose so that I don't transgress my dasya bhav. And right there in that mandir, Shri Krishna became straight. Radharani stood straight. Shri Krishna's peacock feather disappeared, his flute disappeared, and all of a sudden he's holding his bow and his quiver of arrows is there on his back. Just like that. And those who, like Surdas Ji, had been teasing Tulsidas good-naturedly that, you didn't get everything you wanted from your beloved Ram. In the end, you had to come here to Vrindavan. He said, no, I haven't come here for Krishna, I came here for Ram. See? And everybody saw, oh, Sita Ram are standing there. So there's no difference between Sita Ram and Radha Krishna. That's very important to understand. The same thing happened when Vilvamangal ji went to Ayodhya. All the saints who were devotees of Bhagwan Ram over there started teasing the devotee of Krishna in a good-natured way. And, you finally came to Ram, right? You didn't get everything you wanted from Krishna? He said, no, I haven't come for Ram. My Krishna is here in Ayodhya. And all of a sudden, the murti in the mandir became Krishna instead of Ram. So Ram and Krishna are one. We can choose which leelas are more attractive to our mind. Do you prefer more formality? Do you want less formality? That's part of Raga Nuga Bhakti. You choose the relationship you want to have with Shri Krishna. So if you want to worship Krishna as Ram, you're worshipping the same Krishna. There was one other question about the leelas of Bhagwan Ram. You heard both from me and from Banchari Didi that in his leelas, sometimes divine personalities get confused. Like Parvati ji became confused, seeing that although Ram is behaving as a completely ignorant person, Re vriksha parvatastha girigahanalata vayuna vijyamana Ramoham vyakulatma dasharatha tanayah shok shukrena dagdha Bimboshthi charunetri suvipula jaghana baddhanagendra kanchi ha sita kena nita mama hridaya gata ko bhavan kena drishta. Valmiki Ramayana. Ram is wandering around the forest asking the trees, asking the wind, asking the plants and animals, Kena drishta? Has anyone seen my Sita? Has she passed this way? So both Shankarji and Parvati saw this scene. Shankarji immediately went and did pranam and said, Jai Ho, Jai Ho, the Lord of the universe has come here on earth. And Parvati ji is thinking to herself, or Sati at that time, Brahma jo vyapak viraj aj akal aniha abhed jo ki deh dhari hoy nar jahi na janat ved. God is omnipresent, has no attachment to anyone, could never be confused in this way. And here he is as the son of a king wandering around. It looks like he has no knowledge of anything. How can I accept that he is Supreme God? So it was explained to you that she went and tested him, taking the form of Sita, and then Ram immediately composed himself and inquired from her, "O mother, what are you doing here without Lord Shankar?" He recognized her and immediately behaved formally with her. So, why is it that Sati ji became confused? This happened for two reasons that we can understand. There are always limitless reasons for every divine action. But there are two ways that this benefits us. First of all, later when Sati became Parvati and then again got married to Lord Shankar, the very first thing she inquired was, I'm still confused about that behavior of Ram. Is he really God? Can you explain it to me? So Shankarji responded, Tum Raghubir Charan Anuragi Kinhi hu prashna jagat hit lagi. Oh, you are completely devoted to the lotus feet of Sri Ram. I know you have no confusion, Parvati. You're only asking for the benefit of the souls. Why? Because now I have to tell the whole Ramayana. Because Parvati asked, then Shankarji had to explain all of Ram's Leelas. And that conversation between Shivji and Parvati is what Tulsidas wrote in his Ramayana. He just documented that conversation. So if Parvati had not acted confused to ask that question, then why would Lord Shankara have revealed the Ramayana? He wouldn't have. So that's one way that we benefit. We got to have the Ramayana because she feigned that confusion. This happens for almost all of our scriptures. Somebody has to ask a question, and who's going to ask? We don't know what's the right question to ask. A divine personality knows what is the right question to ask, so they behave confused, and another divine personality removes their confusion by revealing the knowledge. Arjun was the descension of Nar. He is an avatar of Bhagwan, Nar Narayan. Arjuna and Krishna are Nar Narayan. And yet he comes down and behaves confused. Oh, what's going to happen if all these people die? He got so confused and emotional before the Mahabharata war. But how could he be confused? No, he's not confused. He's acting confused because that's what we would be feeling in that situation. And that gave the opening to Shri Krishna to reveal the knowledge of Gita, which is what we need for understanding how to live in this world and devote ourselves to God. So Arjun is behaving ignorantly and Shri Krishna is answering. Even after Arjun got the divine vision of Krishna in the 11th chapter and was fully surrendered to Krishna, and after hearing the whole Gita, then the war starts. And a couple days into the war, his son Abhimanyu got killed. Again, he forgot everything and became confused. Oh, Krishna, just show me Abhimanyu one more time. I want to see my son. So Krishna called Abhimanyu. And Arjun said, oh, my son. And then Abhimanyu scolded him. You're calling me son? I've been your father many times. Your son is there, lying there, my dead body. That's your son. My soul is not related to you. So in this way, we got more teachings because of that interaction between Abhimanyu and Arjun. So in many different cases, every single Upanishad is a conversation between two saints or two divine personalities, where one is asking and the other one is answering. Mukti ko Upanishad. Hanumanji is asking questions and Shri Ram is answering. Taittiriya Upanishad, Bhrigu, who's an eternal saint, is asking questions, and his father Varun is answering them. So this is just the system of how our scriptural knowledge is revealed. And the second benefit we get is a warning. Parvati Ji was illustrating, demonstrating. This is what happens if you try to use your limited intellect to judge or analyze divine God's actions. She says, see what happened to me? Shankarji abandoned me, renounced me because I had done that to Shri Ram. We do the same thing all the time. Even Brahma says, Karmanyani hasya bhavo bhavasya te Durga Shrayo Thari Bhayat Palayanam Swatman Rate Kalatmano Yat Pramadayuta Shraya Swatman Rate Khidyati Dhir Vidamiha. Bhagavatam. O Krishna, who can understand your actions? You are the origin of everybody, and yet you've become the son of Nanda Baba and Yashoda. You have no reason to do anything. You have no desire, so why would you do any karma? And yet you come here on earth, you take avatar, you do all kinds of actions. You are the Lord of the god of death, and yet you get afraid of Jarasandha, who's just an insignificant demon, and you run from him. You leave Mathura and go to Dwarika. You are self-content, and yet you're seen to be doing ras with all the gopis. So who can understand your actions? Even the most intelligent people, if they try to analyze it, they'll become confused. Garudaji saw Ram and Lakshman get tied up with some serpent arrows that were fired. He said, how is it possible? Ram is so powerful that even one who repeats his name gets freed from the bondage of Maya. And here he is bound by the serpent arrow of a Rakshas. He got confused. And he had to go, but see what happened? He went to Garudaji, he went to Kagbhushundi, another bird. Garudaji is Shri Ram's divine carrier. And Garudaji is a devotee of Shri Ram, who's in the form of a crow. So he went to Garudaji up at Mansarovar, and he told his confusion that, I thought Ram was God, and then I saw this, and now I don't know what to think. And Kagbhushundi also said, you're not confused. You've come here to grace me by asking about Shri Ram. Then there was a whole conversation between Garuda and Kagbhushundi that takes up most of the Uttarkand of the Ramayana. And that's where at least half of the philosophical discussions of the Ramayana come, right in that conversation between Garuda and Kagbhushundi. Half of Maharaj's Ramayana quotations are from this conversation. But there's a warning in there for us. So the confusion is also a way of allowing the knowledge to be revealed, but it's also a warning to the ordinary souls that, look, Garudaji got in trouble by trying to analyze Shri Ram's actions. Parvati ji got in trouble. So, ordinary souls, you are so quick to question, why did Ram do this? Why did Ram send Sita to the forest? Why did Ram kill Bali from behind the tree? Every little thing, our mind just jumps in and we think we're qualified to question in Ram's actions or try to analyze or understand them. Even Parvati and Garudaji failed. Great divine personalities, God herself, Parvati. Then who do we think we are to step in and try to analyze God's actions? Are his leelas for analysis by our material mind? No, they are for loving remembrance. Remember that. The leelas were not revealed for us to analyze. With Ram's grace, when we get to that level, we'll understand each and everything about his leelas. And until then, we should not fall in that trap. We should not allow our mind to ever question or analyze. If we are thinking about the leelas, it should only be for devotional remembrance, to engross our mind in thinking of Shri Ram. So now you have both answers. One to the question of how is it that a divine personality like Parvati became confused. So you learn that she was not actually confused, but she was behaving in that way to grace the souls. And regarding the question of what is Ram's relation to Krishna, you learn that Ram is Krishna, Krishna is Ram. There is no difference between them. So in this way, we understand the basics about what is Ram Navmi and what should we be thinking about in order to celebrate Ram Navmi. And our goal should be that next time Ram Navmi comes, we should think about what progress have we made in the last year. Has my love for Shri Ram multiplied? Am I further ahead? Then we will know that we're celebrating Ram Navmi in the correct way. Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan Ki. Now we'll chant one kirtan revealed by Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj that illustrates this oneness between Ram and Krishna. कान्ह को नींद न आए, कान्ह को नींद न आए, कान्ह को नींद न आए, याते कान्ह बुलायो माय, याते कान्ह बुलायो माय, मोढ़ींग बैठो कहाँ बल भाय, मोढ़ींग बैठो कहाँ बल भाय, ओ कहानी माय सुनाए, कहानी माय सुनाए, कहानी सुनू कह माय, सुनू कह माय, कारी भरियो बल भाय, भरियो बल भाय, आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए, आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए, अवधपुरी में थे एक राय, अवधपुरी में थे एक राय, दशरथ नाम पुराणन गाय, दशरथ नाम पुराणन गाय, दश दिशि उनको रथ जाए, उनको रथ जाए, नारी तीन बताए।
उनकी नारी तीन बताए।
एक कौशल्या नाम बताए।
एक कौशल्या नाम बताए।
एक कैकेयी नाम बताए।
नाम बताए।
एक सुमित्रा नाम बताए।
एक सुमित्रा नाम बताए।
बड़ी नारी कौशल्या आए।
बड़ी नारी कौशल्या आए।
आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए।
आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए।
कहानी माय सुनाए।
कहानी माय सुनाए।
दशरथ पुत्र चार बतलाए।
दशरथ पुत्र चार बतलाए।
ज्येष्ठ पुत्र तो राम कहाए।
ज्येष्ठ पुत्र तो राम कहाए।
उनको श्रुति भगवान बताए।
उनको श्रुति भगवान बताए।
एक पुत्र लक्ष्मण कहलाए।
एक पुत्र लक्ष्मण कहलाए।
एक पुत्र को भरत बताए। सीता कहलाए।
राम नारी सीता कहलाए।
सो ब्रह्म रूप, सो ब्रह्म रूप बतलाए।
सो
ब्रह्म
रूप बतलाए।
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाए।
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाए।
कई के सौतेली माय।
सौतेली माय।
राम ही दिय तीन विपिन पठाए।
राम दिय तीन विपिन पठाए।
14 बरस बसे वन जाए।
14 बरस बसे वन जाय।
सीता राम लखन बन जाए।
सीता राम लखन वन जाय।
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाए।
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाए।
कहानी माय सुनाए।
कहानी माय सुनाए।
वन महा असुर दशानन आए।
असुर दशानन आय।
सीता को ले गयो उड़ाए।
सीता को
राम बचाए
सीता का राम बचाए
यह सुनी उठी बैठे बल भाई
यहाँ सुनी उठी बैठे बल भाई
काह लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण धनु लाय
लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण धनु लाय
काह लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण धनु लाय
लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण धनु लाय
मानहु क्रोध रूप धरियाय
मानहु क्रोध रूप धरि आय
आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए
आजू कान्ह को नींद न आए
दृश्य देखिया डरी गई माय
दृश्य देखिया डरी गई माय
गूढ़ मरम नहीं समझी माय
गूढ़ मरम नहीं समझी माय
जाने साधारण सुत माय
जाने साधारण सुत माय
पकरी माय धाय बल भाय
पकरी माय धाय बल भाय
ले गोदी पुनि पुनि दुलराय
गोदी पुनि पुनि दुलराय
लिय छुपाय आंचल बल भाय
छुपाय आंचल बल भाय
नाम जपति नारायण नारायण माय
नाम जपति नारायण माय
जानन नारायण बल भाय
जानना नारायण बल भाय
नींद आय बल भाय सुलाय
नींद आय बल भाय सुलाय
राम कृपालु माय बल भाय
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 आजू कान्ह को नींद नाय
आजू कान को नींद न आय
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाय
आजू कान को नींद न आय
याते कान्ह बुलायो माय
याते कान बुलायो माय
मोढ़ीग बैठो कह बल भाय
मोढ़ीग बैठो कह बल भाय
कहानी माय सुनाय
कहानी माय सुनाय
आजू कान्ह को नींद नाय
आजू कान को नींद न आय
राम कृपालु माय बल भाय
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 आजू कान्ह को नींद नाय
आजू कान को नींद न आय झुकान को नींद ना आए।
बोलो सीताराम भगवान की, श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की।